Today I'm going to talk through how to shoot photo and video for weddings. I'm Brenda Bergerine, one half of Bergerine Photography. We've been wedding photographers, husband and wife team for the past 10 or more years. And lately you might have noticed that we've started offering photo and video packages. It just got easier and easier and easier to start saying yes when couples asked us if we do both. For years, we dedicated ourselves to being a photography duo. A lot of people want two photographers, and that sort of has been changing for some of our clients. And so we've been pivoting and adapting, as everyone has, since the past couple years. I'm going to talk through how we got to this point, the top 2 reasons to shoot photo and video, and then how to go about doing it, in case you're looking to make that change as well. So here's what's changed. Better gear, smaller weddings, and recognizing the importance of really good teamwork when it comes to a photo video team. Here's the story of how we got here. It's the old COVID story. We lost a lot of our photography work. We were doing at the time a lot of weddings, some commercial work, and when COVID hit, we kind of had to shift that because we weren't doing weddings, we were doing a lot of commercial work. In the commercial photography industry, a lot of our clients were already wanting photo and video, and we were able to do it for them. It is easier to shoot photo and video from the commercial standpoint because you have more time, less stress, less pressure to have one shot to get the shot. Versus weddings, anybody who's shot a wedding knows that it can be super stressful and overwhelming, and you only have one chance, and you're juggling all the things like keeping people happy and getting the best photos, but not messing up the timeline. It could be really stressful to add photo and video into that. We had tried in the past and we just thought it's not worth it. Let's stick to what we're good at. Gear started getting better to where now we don't have to have more gear and duplicate gear. We already have duplicate gear if you think about it. We have a camera and we have a backup camera in our bag. Now, if that backup camera could also shoot video, then we have a photo camera, video camera, and if one of them breaks, one of them can do both. So the gear got better. COVID happened. People were having smaller weddings. They didn't necessarily need 2 photographers in the way that they did previously. We still love working together and shooting together. There's advantages to 2 photographers, even if you're just eloping. But our clients started needing video because suddenly so-and-so couldn't come to the wedding because of COVID, and they wanted to be able to share that moment with them. And there's some things that video does better than photo. Like, I can take a great photo of a wedding speech, but that photo doesn't tell you what that person said. Or I can take a great photo of a tear during the vows, but that photo doesn't show you what the vows were. And so offering that photo video package became a way to serve our clients better. The other thing that happened is some of the videographers that we loved working with either moved away or moved on in their business. And if you're a photographer who works with videographers, you know how important it can be to have a connection between the photographer and the videographer. They need to be a good team. They need to have a similar style. It can be a nightmare if the photographer and the videographer are competing rather than working together. And we've experienced that enough to value that when we work together, we help each other. We're a team. We have each other's best interests in mind. I can ask for him to frame something for me, and he can ask me to help direct something for him. We really grew to value that ability to make our experience better. That also allows us to get better quality for our clients. So with COVID kind of shifting our business, our videography skills got better. The gear got better. Our clients started wanting photo and video packages, and we started seeing the value of doing it to serve them, the value of the impact that it could have on our business to do both. And just we had more confidence in our skills and ability to do it than we did a few years back. Weddings used to overwhelm us, and now we're kind of used to it. We're less stressed on a wedding day than when you're first starting as a wedding photographer. It can be really stressful. But once you've done it a while, you kind of know what's happening. You know the layout of the day, which frees up space for creativity. So if you're a wedding photographer and you're considering shooting photo and video, I'm going to talk about the top 2 reasons to shoot wedding photo and video. I've already alluded to these, but the first one is, from a business standpoint, it allows you to shoot quality over quantity. We've always tried to keep our numbers low in terms of how many weddings we shoot every year. I can't remember 200 people's names and stories. And so if I have 200 clients, it's really hard for me to stay connected and serve those clients well. Keeping my client list on the smaller side helps me serve my clients better. It helps me know them and care about them, and really be present when I'm at their wedding day. And so we realized this a while ago when we watched some friends do something similar, but if we can shoot photo and video on a wedding day, we can have bigger packages, which reduces how many weddings that we need to do. And you can have bigger packages that are just photography, but we are able to give our clients more value by having photo and video in one big package. And that helps our business. That helps just the quantity of weddings that we have to shoot. It's kind of a win-win if you think about it, because our clients, it's one-stop shopping for them. They have a team that works really well together, and we don't have to shoot as many weddings and find as many clients because we're able to book bigger photo video packages. And reason number 2 to shoot photo and video kind of stems from that is we love working together as a team. If you're trying to do this alone, we can talk about that a little bit, but basically we're a husband and wife team and we love working together on photography. That translates well to photo and video. And as I alluded to previously, working with a videographer who has a completely different style than you or different personality than you, it can really make or break a wedding day. If you're trying to like capture a candid moment and the photographer and the videographer jumps in there like a director, it can really interrupt your creative flow if the style is different. Whereas when I work with a teammate who complements my style or even enhances my style, then my photos are better and the video is better and the experience for our couples is better. So I really encourage you, if you have a teammate that you already work with, to consider it and recognize that like that teamwork can really matter. Or if you're not going to go move to shooting photo and video, having videographers that you refer, that you really like working with, can be really crucial. We've had a few videographers that we love working with, and we would always refer them to our clients because we want to work with them. We know them being there is going to make our photos better, and they're not going to make our life harder. They're going to make it easier. And I know all vendors should have the same goal. We should all be serving the couple and working together to do so. But for some reason that doesn't always work out. And sometimes there's like this competitive photo video. I got to get my shot. I got to get my shot. Whereas when we are working together as a team, we both know our goals and we work together to make sure we both get what we need. The next thing I'll talk about is the gear for shooting wedding photo and video. Anybody who knows anything about us knows that Mark is the gear guy, so I will avoid leaning too far out of my comfort zone here, other than to talk about how the gear has made it easier and it's made a difference in terms of how easy it is for us to do photo and video. So for years we had like a camera that we would use for video, and then we had our photo cameras, but now we are able to have cameras that shoot photo and video, and the settings are even easier to switch back and forth between the two. The cameras can cross over between photo and video, and so then it's just about getting audio for your video equipment, a video light of some sort, and then you have your lighting equipment for photos. those are the things that don't necessarily cross over. What people don't realize that aren't in the wedding photography industry is how expensive it is to have all of the gear. There's a lot of overhead. When people think like, oh, you're making $5,000 for one wedding, they don't recognize the price tag on the gear that we're carrying into that wedding. And when I dropped my lens, how much it cost me to replace it. Having gear that can cross over between photo and video means it's not more expensive to become a videographer necessarily. You have the audio equipment, but beyond that, it's not going to be like a huge cost of entry. Whereas one of the biggest hinders to getting started is getting all the gear. And even so, we always encourage people like start with less and then grow. I could shoot a whole wedding with my 35mm lens if I had to, right? I choose to have more lenses, but you don't need it. And so there's always this like what you want versus what you need. And now with photo and video gear merging, we don't need as much, which makes the cost of entry less, which makes just our overhead of having gear less. And it's easier for us to say, yes, I will shoot photo and video for you if that's what you want. More about our gear philosophy and how to like keep it minimal while having it enhance what you do. You can check out some of Mark's gear videos and gear reviews. I have it on his to-do list to do a specific post on wedding, photo, and video gear. So be sure to look for that. In my opinion, simple is best. If you want your wedding photo and video gear to not slow you down. You want to have any tools that you have make it easier for you to do your job so that you can focus on being creative and you can focus on serving your clients. Now let's move on to the ins and outs of how we shoot wedding photo and video. The first thing is to remember who the client is and what they want from you. I think this is part of the problem for why there's sometimes this weird dynamic between photographers and videographers, is we have lots of goals. We're supposed to all be there serving the bride and groom, but as a photographer, I also want to create like a really creative image. So I have my own needs that I'm trying to fulfill. And the videographer is like, oh, I'm trying to like make an award-winning film or whatever. And that they have, I have my own needs as a videographer. I have my own needs as a photographer. When we start out thinking about how we're going to structure the day, it helps if we start out by thinking, what does the client want? At the end of the day, what does the client need out of a video? What does the client need out of photos? And how can I create that for them? And then that will help me figure out how to divide and conquer my time between photo and video. As creatives, we have super high standards. We want every time we shoot for us to be creating that next best award-winning photo or the more creative video clip. And the reality is, especially for photographers with some experience, our clients are happy with less than our best as long as it's good quality. And so I think that it's, as much as we want to push ourselves and be our best, I think that it's important to start with, hey, this is my starting point. I need to do at least this for the client, which is not a million creative video clips of like some random thing that the couple may or may not even care about. Those creative video clips aren't necessarily what I need to get my client, but I do need to capture that speech from dad, or I do need to capture those vows. And so I start with getting those safe shots or those important things, and then I can build and get creative beyond that. That also will lower your stress level. If you say, I know I got that shot, now I can go be creative and get something outside the box. The second tip is that 2 people is better than 1. Shooting photo and video interchangeably on a day, like our brains have a hard time switching. I think that photography skills really help your videography skills in terms of your framing and your storytelling. But that doesn't mean that I can just like switch my brain from photo to video and get something different. And so my thought would be, if you're shooting photo and video, it would be helpful to time block and say, okay, I'm going and I have this much time at the getting ready room. I'm going to spend this chunk shooting video B-roll, and then I'm going to shoot this chunk shooting photos. and separate it so that your brain doesn't have to like shift back and forth. Because just like our camera has to shift between photo and video mode, our brain kind of has to do it too, because now I need this motion different, and the framing kind of changes what looks good in a video versus a photo. And then it also would reduce mistakes. So if I'm like shooting photos and then I'm like, oh, this would be a really cool video, and then I try to like switch to video mode, but I'm like focused on the moment that's happening in front of me, I might not make all the changes correctly. I might be not focused to those details, and I might mess up trying to switch back and forth quickly between the two. So the same principles that come with waiting for a moment in photography come with switching between photo and video. You know, a lot of times photographers are like, click, 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 click. Oh, now something's happening over here. Now something's happening over there. And then you're missing all the moments because they're too busy jumping back and forth between moments. Like, pick a shot that you're trying to get, shoot through the moment, get the shot, then move to the next. And that's the same thing we do together as a team. Maybe one of us is just focused on video during the ceremony, and one of us is just focused on photo during the ceremony. And maybe during portraits, same thing. Or maybe we're both shooting portrait photos and then we're both shooting portrait video. And so separating photo from video will work great. And instead of focusing on, oh, but I might miss that one thing that happened, realizing that they won't know that you missed that moment because you caught this moment. The third tip for shooting photo and video is a tip that I have in general for teamwork, which is knowing who's in charge of what. So if you work with somebody else in your business and you're both every day trying to write the same emails, or you're both trying to edit the same photos, not only is that inefficient, but that's like the worst micromanagement that there is, because you're both side micromanaging each other. And so we learned this early on in our business of working together is I like to do certain things, Mark likes to do certain things, so we divide and conquered that way. And if I know he's in charge of something on a wedding day, I don't have to worry about it. That's one less thing I have to worry about. And if he knows I'm in charge of something else, he doesn't have to worry about that. Knowing who's in charge of what ensures that nothing gets forgotten. Mark's in charge of audio, check. He knows he has to get that. I'm in charge of photographing the ceremony, check. I know I'm gonna get that. We've done the same thing when we just use photos. During the ceremony, I'm in charge of getting a photo of the parents' faces looking emotional during the vows, right? Mark doesn't have to worry about getting that. Unless he sees it, he might shoot it, but he doesn't have to worry about that. He can take that off his mental to-do list. And vice versa, I know he's getting the safe, wide first kiss shot, so I can focus on doing something like a little more artsy, a little bit more creative. The same way we divide and conquer as a photo team, we can divide and conquer as a photo video team. I've never believed in the second shooter thing anyway, maybe because I've never had to use one because I have a teammate that I work with. But even if you work with second shooters, I think you should treat them like a valuable team member. So give them an actual thing that you're expecting them to do and accomplish, rather than just shoot some photos and if any of them are good, I'll use them. Say, I need you to get this, I need you to get that. And really rely on your team member, which might mean that we have to relinquish some control sometimes, which can be hard. But that's how we build better teams, especially when it comes to photo video. Tip number 4 is systems. I am not a big fan of shot lists. You can see a post about that here, but I am a fan of systems. So what I don't want is to have a shot list that's like, okay, the bride wants me to get this shot and this shot and this shot and this shot, and I've got a piece of paper and I'm walking around with it all day and I have to like check them off and I have to stress about getting everything on the shot list. What I would rather have is a system of this is what I shoot, this is when I shoot it, and I know it and it's memorized and I am not gonna forget it, so I don't have to take up mental space remembering it. That is going to be more effective than like scrambling all the time to do a shot list. So when it comes to photo video, same thing, have a system. Here's when I'm shooting photo. Here's when I'm shooting video. Here's when we're both shooting photo, or here's when you're directing the family while I'm shooting family pictures so that we get this family pictures done. Because the odds of us using video footage of like the family standing in line taking pictures is lower than the benefits that would come from one of us directing the family while one of us shoots family pictures. And that's just a personal preference. Maybe you have a different personal preference, but the point is have a plan and a system that works so that on the day you're not scrambling, you're not stressed. Any stress you can reduce leaves more room for creativity. For video, you might have a plan of when am I miking everybody up? When am I taking their mics off? When am I shooting B-roll? What shots do I need for the video I am planning on making? How many camera angles? Where am I going to set them up? Having systems and plans for all of that before you get there, or getting there early enough to like plan it out and think ahead. I like to think of it the same as anything else with photography. It's an art and a science, right? So we know like rules about lighting and composition. And then if we know those rules, we're able to be creative outside the box. We don't have to be like focused so much on the rules because we know them. They're second nature. And then we can get creative. Tip number 5 comes back to this topic of gear. As I mentioned before, little do all the ladies walking their dogs on the street know that we have backup gear for our backup gear in our bag. And sometimes that feels like it's not really usable gear. Sometimes I shoot 2 cameras, but that can get a little heavy for my back. So a lot of times my second camera is just in my bag. So one tip would be to have one of your cameras set up for photo, one of them set up for video, even though we know that they could both be used for both. And maybe you're keeping your video camera on your gimbal and it's already like leveled and all of that. And now your backup gear is usable gear. Now your backup gear is, ooh, I want to go get a video clip of this. Even if on a certain day we've decided that Mark's mostly focusing on video and I'm mostly focusing on photo, there might be a moment where I want to get a video clip that I know would be great in our video. And so if I plan that my backup gear is actually my video gear, unless I need it as a backup, then I'm ready to go without having to worry about changing settings. Even if they're easy, mistakes can be made. So in summary, I don't think shooting wedding photo and video is easy, but I do think it can be done, and it's getting easier every day. And with a certain level of experience with weddings in general, it's starting to get easier to say yes than it is to say no. It's better for business, our gear can handle it, and a lot of our couples are starting to want it. So beginners beware. Weddings are crazy, they're stressful, they're overwhelming. There's a lot of people you're trying to please, brides, mother of the brides, wedding planners. But once you get more experienced and more comfortable and more confident, shooting photo and video can be endless fuel for your creativity. Now you can do more with the same gear that you already have in your backpack, just waiting to be used. In some ways, shooting photo and video has expanded our storytelling capabilities. Now, if there's a cool thing that happened in a speech that can't be captured in a photo, I can capture it in another way. And it's expanded what we can do as a team to serve our clients and our capabilities of what our business can do. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check out our video on what's new with Berger Photography, including this transition to offering more photo and video packages for weddings. You can also check out this recent post on posing for couples pictures, and this one on how to take sunset and golden hour photos. Stay tuned. We have more coming your way. Be sure to like and subscribe to help make that happen. And thanks for being here.